मिट्टी में और इस मिट्टी के खेल में है, क्योंकि यही खेल हमें सिखाते हैं हमारे रोजमर्रा की जिंदगी की हार जीत। और जो आज हार गए तो कल नए सिरे से शुरू करने की उम्मीद। अपने बच्चों के पैरों में इस देश की मिट्टी लगने दो और फिर इसी में से उभरेंगे वो हीरे जो खेल की बागडोर इस देश के लिए संभालेंगे। जनगण मन अधिनायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, पंजाब सिंध गुजरात मराठा द्राविड़ उत्कल बंग, विंध्य हिमाचल शुभाशिष तव जय गाथा। जनगण मंगल दायक जय हे भारत भाग्य विधाता, जय 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 जय। ये सभी लोग हमारे जैसे ही आम परिवारों से आए हैं और अपनी मेहनत के बल पर इस तिरंगे को दुनिया में लहरा रहे हैं, क्योंकि खेल एक ऐसी चीज है जो अमीरी गरीबी में तोली नहीं जाती। बस जरूरी है ढेर सारी मेहनत, लगन और आत्मविश्वास, और यही विश्वास विरासत में देते चलो इन सैकड़ों भारत माँ के जुनूनी दिलों को, और फिर गर्व से कहो भारत माता की जय।
Thank you so much. The speciality of the Janagana Mana which we listened today was composed and conceptualized by Nilesh Kulkarni. Big round of applause, sir. I request guests to please come for the lighting of the lamp. Types of industries. Every month, a session is arranged for sharing knowledge and experiences in the industry. And so far, in last 10 years, OHR has conducted 114 programs. These programs, thank you. These programs include the sessions such as Power Cake Breakfast, then OHR's WW. Unfortunately, no. Father of Human Relations Management, not Human Resource Management.
Dave Ulrich answer is for the modern father, or you are confirming?
Yes.
Elton Mayo.
So Elton Mayo is the correct answer.
Right answer.
Has he also answered? Elton Mayo?
Nilesh
Okay.
from.
So there are two people. So sir, he has also answered the same question very correctly when the mic was there. So he also deserves a goodie. Congratulations.
First, please raise your hand.
Yeah. So the father of human relations management, not human resource management, is Elton Mayo, who all of us know is very famous for the Hawthorne experiment which he conducted. Continuing with the sequence, now I request Director of IISM, Mr. Amit Gupte, to please come on the stage for the presentation.
Parents also allowing their kids to kind of participate in the giving that permission to kids now. With the whole focus on Olympics, with the way that we are progressing, of course, it's a big number that we're going to be. Next. Uh, 4 major courses under Mumbai University, which with NEP will be now a 3+1. That's with the honors program. Masters in Sports Management, Bachelors in Sports Science, Masters in Sports Science, again under NEP with the new education policy. And we also offer autonomous program, which is 11 months program under ISM certification. We have host of online certification. We do a lot of small-term programs, but as per the industry needs. Next. Getting admission to ISM is also pretty, there is a complete. Majority of our students are from outside Mumbai city. We have more than 50% of our crowd which is coming.
And I request Nilesh sir to please enlighten us. Nilesh sir has been already very well introduced by Amit sir, so I won't take repetition of the same thing. I invite
Good evening, everyone. I hope I'm audible.
Yes.
I was just nudging Amit, saying that मेरा 15 मिनट मत खा लेना. OHR's 10th anniversary, and you invite a cricketer or a sports person. The symbolic number importance of number 10 in sport has a very, very, very strong meaning, and that part nobody can take away. The legends of sporting world proudly used number 10 on their back of the jersey to actually be the difference and make the difference in the sporting world. So congratulations for completing 10 years. All the committee members, the trustees, and the members, it is my proud privilege to be part of sharing my experience. I was just sharing my thoughts. I call myself a failed cricketer. And I say it proudly. And I'll justify the reasons why I say that. In my opinion, I thought I was a good cricketer. I could not do a justice to the potential I had. And based on that, I assess myself as a failed cricketer. With this, you can actually relate that into your HR term. And anybody in your organization addresses you, he or she should be invested heavily to back for the vision and the plans you have. And the reason I support that thought with you, how do you look at failures? Failures in life is not such a bad thing. We encounter that at every step. As a child, when we intend to walk or crawl, we fail multiple times before we start crawling or walking. As we go to school, we fail multiple times in anticipation of the goals what our parents tell us to. अरे तुला तर 90% आणायचेच आहेत. The competition starts from there. When the time comes, you go to college, the friends, the peers, the professors start pushing you. You're a good student. You need to really do well. I have high hopes and expectations from you. Don't disappoint us. We fail multiple times there before we end up achieving something. As we complete, for me, I was not a good student, so my expectations were low, so I was a happy child. But for many of the people, that becomes a challenge. And then as you enter into the working environment, you get campus interviews, you get good jobs, you think, and as you are introduced, then one fine day in the first month of yourself, the boss who's senior to you with 10, 15 years of work ex probably had a fight with his wife or wife had a fight with his husband, comes to office and blasts the hell of you, and you get a taste of the working environment also. I hope you relate that, right? Good. For you guys, in a working environment, you do get retakes. You're allowed to come back with the mistake. But when I relate that into sports, we don't have retakes. Either it's black or it's white. There are no gays, there are no gray areas. Because either you fail or you succeed. As simple as that. So when you say, "Arey, isne acha kiya," is that a success? No. It's a collective effort. But that individual person did something out of the ordinary or little extra to use that term of becoming on the right side of the boss of the expectations of the organization. But to achieve that, how many efforts he or she has taken? How many times he or she has failed? How many times he has looked at dejections? And I'll just connect those dots with, you guys use a lot of terms, right, in management and in your HR, in your recruitment processes, in your day-to-day life of assessing persons, SWOT analysis. All these jargons are commonly used, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. We do use, right? Do we really mean it? Because a person who fails, according to me, is the person you should be investing in. I'll tell you why. That person, he or she, is taking effort, and efforts need to be applauded with rewards of recognition. And I'll back that thought with my some perspectives which I'll share. How many of you actually watched the recently concluded Cricket World Cup? Be honest. And how many of you criticized Indian team? Be honest. That's not fair. I mean, we all criticize, right? Let's be honest. This is so injustice that I'm not going to put you into Kathera by saying that, oh, you are the one who criticized, huh? But be honest that we all criticize, right?
We felt bad, but not criticized.
We felt bad, but still we failed, right? The expectations were high. 10 wins on the trot, and we couldn't cross the line. What were the reasons for it? From an HR perspective, can we define those reasons? So, in a good environment of HR's mandate to recruit good people, right from CEOs to junior most employee, a team goes for a pitch. A team has a fantastic 3 rounds of presentations with their competitors, sails through. They just don't cross the line. And you lose 100 crore business. How do you define that? In sport, it's very simple. But in work life, it's not. A CEO loses his job. The first chopping by the management happens to CEO, then the marketing head, then the CFO or finance head. यार इसने कुछ तो गड़बड़ किया, इन्होंने सही नहीं किया. Will we relate that? Do we relate these thoughts? How do you correct it? How do you better it? How do you invest into a right resource? And I always use this term. According to me, India has produced 2 best captains in cricket. Who are those 2 captains? And Ganguly said by who? Who said Ganguly? Only one person, two. I'm a big fan of Saurav Ganguly. I'll tell you why. Because he got the team in his hands when Indian cricket team was in a complete distress. There were betting allegations, players were into scrutinies, teams and the players were into some different mind frames. In those circumstances, Saurav Ganguly got a team. But do you remember who recommended Saurav's name? No? There's one gentleman called Sachin Tendulkar. So the people who recommend the right choice and then backed by the management like Mr. Dalmia did for Saurav Ganguly, to allow him a freedom to take right decisions, invest into right people. Of course, it was his skill, his ability to identify right talent, his ability to articulate things to players, motivate them, and then the emergence of Yuvraj Singh, Virendra Sehwag, Harbhajan Singh, Zahir Khan, Mohammad Kaif, Ashish Nehra. You can go on and on with the investment as a leader which he did, brought the relevant change and the mindset into Indian team to be positive in difficult situations. And the result of it, I hope you remember that 2001 test series where India's Australia test series happened, where VVS Lakshman and Rahul Dravid changed the narratives of Indian cricket chapter. But more importantly, there was one Sardar called Harbhajan Singh who emerged as a genuine match winner for Team India. And till today, that test series is one of the best test series ever played in the history of cricket. That's, for me, is leadership. That's, for me, management. That, for me, is critical thinking. That, for me, is critical crisis management. That, for me, is risk assessment. That, for me, is investing into right resource to extract the best for your team or for your organization. And we use those analogies into our work life. 50% of the problem are solved because you always want to invest into right people. Coming to second leader, MS Dhoni. A lot of people actually said he's one of the top captains. But what are his qualities? Can you name?
Captain Cool. Cool-head.
Patience. What else?
Cool-headed.
Cool-headed. He calls a spade a spade. What else? Knowing the strengths of the team member. But one very, very critical quality of Mahendra Singh Dhoni.
Decision making.
Decision making, finisher. Still, don't get the answer. Mentally strong, strategy, everything. Faith, team building.
Risk taking. Risk.
Respect.
Partially, yes. But most importantly, just to taking the cue of that, he allows an individual who really did well to take full credit of it. But more importantly, when the team fails, it's only he who addresses the media, who takes the center stage, who takes the responsibility of that failure and the accountability of that failure. For me, that's the greatest quality a leader can have. And for all of you HR people, find that resource to invest into your respective organizations or into your work environment, who will produce that as your result. Because when a person as a leader starts owning somebody else's failure, he or she is the person to be invested in and to be backed by. Because they are the true leaders for your organization and for your organizational growth. They are the difference between a success and an average performance. They are the difference who offers you the edge into your work environment, who will make sure that they give you something extra which when you started recruiting you did not anticipate. Do you think this is a logical conclusion of the assessment? Yes or no?
Yes.
Why? Where does it go? Oh, there's a fire.
बाहेर येऊन ना
Okay, after the break. So, continuing with the thought, when I said initially I'm a failed cricketer, I'll just justify that. How the failure. I'll justify that thought. I'm part of 2 world records. Does anybody know the other world record? So, a few people knew that I got a wicket. So few people know that I got a wicket on my first ball, right? What is the other world record? I fielded for 952 runs. For 3 days, I did not get a second wicket. And that also is a world record against India. So imagine the vagaries of. So I'll narrate a couple of stories to make the mood light. After the Sri Lanka series, India was touring to Pakistan. India was playing against Pakistan in Toronto, 97-98. I hope you remember Saurav Ganguly was the man of the series in Toronto where he actually won 4-1. So and those were just the initial days of mobile. So we were supposed to go to Pakistan to play 3 one-days after that. Sachin Tendulkar was our captain, and as luck would have it, we had an 8-day gap, and Sachin said, I've been to Pakistan, there's nothing much to do in Pakistan. So can we request BCCI to allow us to come to India, rest for a couple of days, we reassemble and then travel to Pakistan. Obviously we beat Pakistan, so all the requests were accepted. We land in New Delhi. There were about 15-20,000 people came to receive us. And the beauty of it is, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. Playing for India, great. 15-20,000 log came to receive us. So as we were going through customs, nahi, aapne Pakistan ko aa raha hai, let's go. I felt even more comfortable. We were standing in a Air India queue to catch the domestic flight. Arey sir, aap kyun khade ho rahe? Ye lijiye boarding pass. Aapne Pakistan ko haraya. For me, I was like, wow, this is brilliant. Beating Pakistan for playing for India, fantastic. We go to Pakistan. Some of you may remember, India loses 2-1 in Pakistan. Rajesh Chauhan hit a 6 in Karachi and we won that match. We again land in New Delhi. The same custom officer was saying, sir, jara bag kholiye. The same Air India people were saying, sir, jara line mein aiye. As I land back in Mumbai, I sit in a cab and that taxi driver says, क्या साहब आप हार जाते हो, हम काम धंधा छोड़ के आपका मैच देखते हो और आप हार जाते हो. Imagine the extremities a sport person experiences in a span of 8 to 10 days. And yet, after winning a match in Karachi, the situation was such that the entire team was sitting in the middle of the bus where more than 3 to 5,000 Pakistanis were just around the bus chanting saying कि ये हिंदुस्तानी कैसे जीत सकते हैं पाकिस्तान में आके. Can you imagine the situation? So the mental challenges, the preparation, all that is fine. But when it comes to experiencing those things, it's completely different ball game. Why am I sharing this piece of information is, sports people encounter these things almost every single day, every single moment, every situation. Can we relate that to work environment? Like I said, the boss is not in a good mood. You get a bashing. He had a fight with his husband or a wife, he or she. The reactions come on the employee. जैसे बचपन में होता था ना, हम बोलते थे कि सबसे ज्यादा टाइम हम स्कूल में बिताते हैं, तो हमारी टीचर जो बोले वही सही. अगर पट्टी हाथ पे मार दी, सही. हमने गलती की, पनिशमेंट मिली, सही. हमने होमवर्क कंप्लीट नहीं किया, पनिशमेंट मिली, सही. Use that into your work environment. How much time do we spend at home? Yet, the reactions of home are taken out into workplaces. How do you find a balance of it? How do you find a sweet spot of right balance between work life, these new terms which are coming into environment? These new terms are commonly used. And how do you overcome these obstacles? If I have to ask a question to this audience, and I'll take a couple of sports people's names here. Roger Federer. I hope you've all heard of this name. Tiger Woods. Michael Jordan. Serena Williams. Michael Schumacher. All of you have heard these names?
Yes.
What is their success percentage in their sporting lives? Can you narrate? 95? One gentleman saying 95. Can somebody else analyze it?
More than
Anyone?
70.
Have a guess.
70 plus.
There's no award or there's no rejection.
70 plus.
70 plus? 40%? Anybody? He's a hardcore conjuice person. Huh? He's a hard negotiator. Anybody else? According to me, it's not more than 25%. And I'll justify that. On a CV of Roger Federer, in his 21 years of his career, he has only won 21 Grand Slams. How do you justify the percentage of his success? Tiger Woods, how many majors he's got? Michael Schumacher, how many Formula 1 championships he's won? Michael Jordan, how many championships he's won? Michael Jordan played 15 years and he's only won 6 majors. So he played 21 years and he won 6. It's not about the percentage of the success. It's about every single day getting up, being hungry, being that 1% extra, being that focused person to be the difference in your work environment, help them get and achieve the excellence. Including the legendary great Sachin Tendulkar. For his 100 hundreds, how many innings has he played? 673. And he's the best in the business, right? If you can just use that. The reason I'm narrating these numbers to you is you all crunch numbers. You all relate to these analogies. You all relate to these perspectives. इसको लेना ही है. Then how do you assess a person? I officially quote one statement which of our honorable ex-president of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, beautifully defined. Failure or a fail. Does anybody know that term? He has beautifully defined fail. FAIL is your first attempt in learning. And the theory is what you've actually heard in your management lessons, in your work environment, from your seniors to your juniors. Glass half full, half empty. How do you invest into a resource when you use these theories? How do you assess an individual? What are the parameters you set when you are defining an employee who will bring the change into your organization? According to me, the person who accepts the failure and willing to learn from it should be backed 110%. Because he or she is willing to take that extra step, effort, initiative to jump into something which he or she is not sure of, which he or she think that, oh, this is not my comfort zone, but I'll still make an attempt. I'll still take an effort. I want to push. What is the difference between the greats and the goods? And I'll use the same sporting analogy into your work environment. What is the difference between the greats and the goods? I'm not saying bads, I'm saying good. Can you share? Can you put some thought? Anybody? Anybody?
Goods are usually doing as per their expectations, and the greats are those who are doing beyond their boundaries. I mean, beyond the expectation they say that.
The greats, according to me, are better here. The greats are 10 times better here than into your practice. Their ability to think first, their ability to outthink their own ability first defines them the great. You put any obstacle to them, you put any challenge in front of them, they try and find a solution. They will always have a backup to their solution. They will always think out of the box to achieve the desired result. That's why they're greats. The goods will always try and follow the order. बॉस ने कहा इतना ही करने का. बॉस ने बोला था जाके ये करके आओ. Job well done. The great who will go there, crack a deal and tell the boss कि सर उन्होंने ये बोला था लेकिन इसके बाद ना ये हुआ तो मैंने उनको ये बोल दिया इसकी वजह से अपने कोई ऑर्डर भी मिल गया. Invest, because back that talent who thinks out of the box, who thinks on his or her own way to benefit the organization. That's why the Virat Kohlis, the Sachin Tendulkars, the Michael Schumachers, the Roger Federers, the Tiger Woods are called great, because they find a solution in impossible situations. They always have an answer to your questions. I'll just share a very interesting story quoted officially by one of the top leaders of Sri Lanka called Arjuna Ranatunga. The series which I played for India in '97, Arjuna said this to me, said, in 15 overs rule at that point of time in a white ball, Arjuna kept a short point for Sachin Tendulkar. So Chaminda Vas was bowling and Sachin had a habit of, on a back foot he would punch it, and few times the ball would go in the air and he kept a very good fielder there. As luck would have it, Sachin got out to Chaminda Vas there once. In the next match, he kept the same fielder. 5 boundaries went past both sides of that fielder. He had an answer to his challenge. He found an answer in anticipation. Arjuna is asking a question to me. He's challenging me. I'll use one more story of Sachin Tendulkar to you. in 2003-4, when Sachin was fighting his tennis elbow, he was finding it difficult to drive because of the weakness in his elbow. And he shared this story that before the Sydney Test match, Rahul Dravid and Sachin Tendulkar were sitting, and he said, "Rahul, I think I'm not going to play a cover drive because I'm not confident of getting them out, and I'll challenge the bowlers who are challenging me to make me play cover drive." In an innings of 240 plus, the great man Sachin Tendulkar did not play a single cover drive. So the moral of the story is, when you find your own weakness, when you find a challenge within your this thing, you should be able to overcome that by finding a right solution. To overcome your own challenges, but find an answer to counter-attack the opposition and make them play with your patience. Every day is not going to be your day. Every day is not going to be on your side. Your presentations, your pitch documents, your perfect thoughts to your bosses will never be accepted. Persistent approach with the right confident metric will always help you sail through, cross the line. It's your decision how far you're willing to go that line. How much you have in you to convince him or her to help you cross that line. For that, you need to be supremely confident of your own ability, for which you need to be extremely accurate in your risk assessment, for which you need to be extremely particular about investing into right resource. Do they come with easy? No, they don't come with easy. There's a very interesting thought, and most of the people who are into 40s and 50s will relate to it. When you're into 20s, you take many wrong decisions and want to correct them right. When you get into 30s, you're thinking, नहीं यार, ये गलती हुई थी, थोड़ा सोचते हैं, डिस्कस करते हैं, and then react करते हैं. When you get into 40s, ask 4 to 10 people, what's your opinion? क्या लगता है? You discuss that. You get the perspectives from juniors and seniors. कि क्या लगता है? What's your opinion? Because you don't want to form the opinion क्योंकि हाथ जल चुके हैं, बहुत बार सीख चुके हैं, बुरी तरह गाली खा चुके हैं. When you get into 50s, you're already thinking about a retirement. Why risk it? Let somebody else take that decision. If it is right, I'll back it. If it's not, I'll blame it. This is the approach. How do we change the envelope? In sports, we sport people, retired word associates with us at the age of 35. So what's our peak? Between 24 to 30. And you put that into this analogy, you're not even started. That's why the sporting greats are great. Because their maturity, their decision-making ability, their analytical thinking, their assessment, their ability to overcome challenges, all have come much, much faster or in advance to be able to be in these situations where tomorrow the CEOs, the CXOs, the HR heads, the directors, everyone have gone through that cycle after 50. But you will always find that one resource who has a hunger, he or she, who want to prove you wrong, who is a little cocky in giving answers to your bosses, proving the bosses wrong, challenging the bosses, and he or she gets immense satisfaction proving them wrong. Do you think you can invest into those? You don't. Will you invest into them? No chance. मेरे yearly assessment में reflect होगा मेरा KRA खराब होगा, मेरे अप्रेजल में रिएक्ट होगा, मेरा खुद का खराब होगा. We all go through that, right? Now that I'm on the other side of the work, I relate to these things. मैं क्यों रिस्क लूँ यार, किसी और को लेने दो. We go through that cycle, right? Let's be honest. Let's accept the fact. Today will be your day when you start changing. You will see the change in the employee and the organization. Can you take that? Amit Gupta is showing me watch कि time देख लेना. देखो employee भी boss को बोलते हैं कि time देख लेना. बोर हो रहे हैं सब लोग. और ज़्यादा बोर मत करना. So we get the message and we learn from it. But the most important part, according to me, will be how do you instill a winning habit into your organization? How do you create an environment which is conducive? How do you help them accept and digest from the failure? What is the split-second decision? These are the areas where you first assess an employee, right? These are the areas where you first engage with the new recruit. How do sports people do that? Have you ever thought of it? In cricket, we always say, किसी के recommendation से कोई भी आने दो, 22 यार्ड डिसाइड करता है whether he or she is good or bad. कितना भी recommendation आने दो, जब वो ब्रेटली और शोएब अख्तर का बाउंसर जाता है ना, तो आधे लोगों की नींद उड़ जाती है. Half of the time you don't get to see the ball. So I'll tell you a funny story of my own experience of Brett Lee. We were playing Mumbai versus Australia, the match. And Brett Lee was at his peak. Adam Gilchrist was the captain. There were two cricketers of Mumbai who were playing in the middle. And one of them did not understand, he could not understand English. And as Australians were, they were abusing, it's a common thing. They were blasting Mumbai players with all the good English bad words, swearing in. And the one who could understand started reacting by giving them whatever they were giving us. As luck would have it, he got out. And I walked into the pitch. And I was not a good batter. So I walked into the middle. But I had played for India by then. So I walked in and these guys were going nuts with blasting both of us. 11 versus 2. Imagine the situation in the middle. And by then Brett Lee was not bowling. It was McGrath and Williams. They were bowling. And McGrath is called Pigeon as his nickname. And he was going at it. And he said to me something. And fortunately I could understand English. So I understood what he was saying. And I just reacted, Pidge, if you can't get a number 10 batter out, you're not supposed to be the best bowler in the world. And my bad luck was that Adam Gilchrist was walking past. And he said Pidge from that end. Sorry, Binga. Binga is Brett Lee. Binga from that end. In those days, the bouncer rule did not exist. For 2 overs, I got bouncers. Imagine a tailender getting bouncers hit on your helmet, chest, everyone. And I was trying to avoid it, fend it, because I was not good enough. I was not good enough to handle that. Yet, andar se harna nahi hai. One good bouncer which he bowled, and genuinely I didn't see it. The only time I realized was when I got hit on my visor. धड़ाड़ करके ball लगा. And trust me, for 24 hours, all of you have gone through the dental treatment. Huh? When the anesthesia is given to your one side of the face, you realize ना आप चबा लेते हो तो भी पता नहीं चलता है. You realize that, right? For 24 hours, Brett Lee's anesthesia was on my one side. I could not feel one side of my face. And poor Shane Warne came to me saying that, how is it going? I said, I can't feel one side. Lucky you, he didn't hamper the other side of it. Such is the intensity and the aggression. Cut to that, we played 2001 Test Series. The smartest and the calmest of the player called Steve Waugh, playing against India. How mind works, how mind game plays, and how effectively they are. Saurav Ganguly as a leader gave us the freedom to go all out to Australians. And Australians were not prepared for it. Because they were only used to giving it to people. They were not good at taking things from the opposition. We Indians started going at Australians. And the coolest of that, Steve Waugh, for the first ever time, handled the ball sheer out of frustration. Such is the mind game which sport uses to effective. Can corporates use it? I'm sure they can. Can corporates use it effectively? 200% they can. You just need to find the right answers to balance it well. The learnings of sport is phenomenal. I'll just use a couple of very unique stories of how sport and corporate life is very similar. I hope you're not getting bored.
No, not enjoying.
Enjoying, huh? Some of them are not sleepy also, right? If you're sleepy, please raise your hand, I'll stop. And I can now open a floor for question answer also, so that at least you will be engaged. And those who are sleepy can then ask questions more. Which are the attributes which sport teaches and can be used into corporate life? I'll just give you one small number of data. Like Amit just mentioned, we do a lot of data crunching at our institute. For all of you will be shocked to know India is a 1% sport playing country. Can you believe this? India is a 64% sport loving country. That we all believe, right? We are the armchair critics. यार ये नीरज चोपड़ा भी पागल है, इतना सा फेंकना है, सिंपल है यार. यार ये विराट कोहली को इतना सीधा बॉल नहीं मारने आता है, बोल्ड हो गया. यार ये पीवी सिंधु को तो ना घर पे बिठाना चाहिए यार, क्या करती रहती है यार. Shah. We become very emotionally engaged, seeing the things which probably we are not qualified to, but yet we take the liberty of saying it. We do that, right? Let's be honest. यार रोहित शर्मा पागल है यार, क्या मौका छोड़ दिया यार, ये कैच कितना आसान था, छोड़ दिया. These are the common things which we use, right, in our day-to-day life, using sport to criticize it. Do we do that in our workplace? Let's be honest. No, we don't. No, we don't. I can guarantee you, no, we don't. You can say yes, but I still feel you don't. Do we take the accountability? No. We do gossips. In work environment, we do a lot of gossips. अरे वो देख उसने ना ऐसे ही है, इसका तो ऐसा है, इसका तो ऐसे ही है, इसका ऐसे ही है. We do that, right? ये देख इसका ना ऐसा ऐसा कुछ चल रहा है, प्रॉब्लम है, इसका मेंटल स्टेट ठीक नहीं है. चाय पे चर्चा. एक काम करते हैं हम लोग ना, 10 मिनट का ब्रेक लेते हैं, उधर मिलते हैं, एक पता नहीं सॉलिड सीक्रेट मिला है मेरे को, इसका सीक्रेट पता चला है. We do that a lot, right? Why? We have enough time to find a pleasure in doing these things for our comfort, which is good. I'm not saying it's not right. It's good. But do we do constructive criticism? No. Do we do constructive encouragement? No. Can we find a right resource who will balance it? Possibly yes. Can we invest into those who will give that honest thing? Possibly yes. Do we do that? No chance. No chance. So my thought of putting this across to you is very simple. What sport teaches, no other profession teaches. Because in sports we don't have retakes. Every preparation for that particular match in any sport you'd pick starts way back, through your training, through your injury rehab, through your mental preparation, through your grinding and grueling exercise regimes, practice sessions, all of it only for that one moment where you are expected to deliver more than 100% in that particular moment. Which are the other two professions apart from sport gives you that? Medical?
Arts.
Not
Art
Natak.
form.
You still have a retake. You can still correct it. Not even law. You can take the next date.
War.
You can still ask for next date.
War.
Forces. All the forces. The other two professions who do not have retakes and their life and death more than sport are medicine and armed force. I mean all the forces, all three forces. If you relate those professions, their preparatory work is so immaculate, so precise. So I have a very dear friend called Dr. Adil Chagla. He's a neurosurgeon. And I've played a lot of cricket with him. So he always used to say, मेरे उंगली पे बॉल मत मारना, बाकी कुछ भी चलेगा. And we used to joke about those times कि यार पागल है तू क्यों खेल रहा है फिर? यार क्रिकेट मेरा पैशन है and medicine मेरा प्रोफेशन है. But he said मेरे उंगली पे अगर बॉल लग गया ना, तो किसी की जिंदगी में नहीं बचा पाऊंगा, जिसको मेरी सबसे ज्यादा जरूरत है. What an emotional thought. Have you ever experienced the Forces Day, Armed Force, Navy, Air Force? Have you ever been to those Forces Day? You should actually, you will probably start respecting women 100 times more when you go to these Forces Day. The reason I'm sharing this is, and we've seen that into movies, but unki mental preparation towards their husbands is unreal. Their mental conditioning is unreal. We cannot imagine their preparation to allow their husband to go at war. Imagine the situation. We've only seen the movies, Uri and other places, like, and we start crying. They'll live it. When they go for these things, they're not going to come back. And why am I narrating these things is, when we have the retakes and the liberty of opportunities of retakes into your work environment, why can't we be more accurate? Why can't we be better prepared? Why can't we be more precise? Why can't we be right analytical, assessed people towards the individuals? When we have the flexibility, when we have the liberty, when we have the opportunity to do this, sometimes we say, and in Indian context, which is a bad one, is called chalta hai. बाद में देख लेंगे, हो जाएगा. If I sum it up with this to all of you, to make a pact to yourself, for your organizations, for your own organization or the organization you work for, to find that right balance of taking an accurate decision, using sport as a life lesson, and then keeping the medicine and the forces into back of the mind, where you see a life and a death extremities. If they can be precise and accurate, why can't we be? Why can't we be that change? Why can't we take it up on our sleeves to take up that responsibility of minimizing those mistakes or avoiding those. For me, sport has given me life. Post my cricketing days, I love my Mondays. And most of you may not agree that. I love my Mondays. I hate my Sundays because I can't go to work. Because I love what I do. I enjoy what I do. I look forward to beating my office staff time every single time. I don't need to. But I love doing that. Because I challenge myself. I challenge myself. My daughter and my wife and my son criticizes me. Baba, आज तो नको जाओ ना, थोड़ा late गेला चालेल. I said, why? Because the employees who are working for me, if I expect them to touch at 9 o'clock or 9:30, I should be before them. To set a precedent, I own it up. The day I fail, I say sorry to my staff. I own it up. I take the responsibility. What lessons I've learned from cricket, I practice that into my work environment. I allow my employees to fail. I back them in their failures. I take the onus of their failure. And the success is theirs. The full credit is theirs. Because they deserve that. Why do I take the onus of their failures? For me, they're taking effort. They're taking one step towards my organization. They're initiating something in the interest of my organization. It's my duty to invest into that resource. I need to back that resource. Because he is taking effort. He is taking that one step. These are the lessons I've learned. I hope I've shared it right with you. And it was engaging and it wasn't boring. And I thank God nobody's sleeping. So it makes me feel happy. Otherwise that result would have been different. But thank you very much OHR Foundation for inviting me to share on your 10th anniversary one of the wonderful experiences of my cricketing journey, my failure and my success, and applying them into your workplace. I hope it was worth the wait for you to patiently listen to me and not get bored. Because many times good lectures can be boring. I hope today wasn't the case. And especially Pudekars are always extreme. It's either black or it's white. In their reactions also. With the laughter, I take this is white and not black. Thank you very much for patiently listening to me. I'm absolutely open for any questions you have. Because I know it's your dinner time, your commitments to your families, your wives, your kids, everyone. So I won't bore you much. But if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to address them whatever little way I can. Feel free. There's always a first time. Yeah.
How does a selection normally is done? Because it is a inside the box story, possibly. So your inputs basically to get on those, because we are making the teams, we are making the projects, we are also doing something. So whosoever has a track record or whosoever doesn't have, as you said, you have to bet on some. So I just want some insight from your on this aspect.
Sure. I think
Maybe a couple of examples.
I'll just use the cricketing part for you first. In the history of cricket, it's a very mean game, cricket. It's a very cutthroat profession. And then I'll answer your question. Currently we have 140 crore population. Before that, at least 40-50 crore population must have happened at the time cricket started in India. So in a 200 crore population, according to you, how many have played cricket for India? Have a guess? 1,000, okay. Anybody else?
400. All levels, no?
India, for the country.
300.
Only 500. But the hundreds and thousands of them who aspired to represent the country have taken the same effort, gone through the same grind like we did, went through the same process what we did, and out of that only 12 or 15 have managed to play 100 test matches and more. So the funnel is narrowing it down. In the reverse analogy of the question what you asked, how do you select? According to me, if you can, and it's a strong proposed thought to you, if you can, invest into creating an environment for them to assess their risk-taking ability and their failure assessment is the person you should be investing into. And the reason for it is because he or she is willing to take that one extra step and want to punt his or her strength to give you the desired results into your organization. Many a times we always give some projects, some assignment to assess an individual. Can you change that narrative? Can you bring the new fresh perspective which may give you a better result which you've not anticipated? And that's the learning of the sporting perspective, putting into analogy. Because many a times there are standard 5 templates which you give 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 in the order of your assignments to any new employee. Can you change the narratives? Put them into difficult situations, see how they respond. Even if they fail, it's still fine. Even if they don't succeed, it's still fine. As long as they're on the right path, should be your investment strategy. Because eventually they'll always be on the right side because they're taking effort. Because they're thinking out of the box. Because their narratives are different. आपको हाँ बोलने वाले बहुत मिलेंगे, आपको ना बोलने वाले कितने हैं? आपको हाँ में हाँ बोलने वाले तो मतलब 100 में से 99.9 people will say yes. Boss is always right.
Great.
ना बोलने वाले कितने हैं? वो एक ही आपको लीड करके देगा. I hope I've answered your.
Yes.
Thank you. Yeah. Fear of failure? Absolutely. But why be negative when somebody fails? No, I'm just saying, why be negative when somebody fails? Because many a times we actually make the same mistake. We corner him or her when he or she fails, right?
The person himself doubts sometimes that okay, whether I'm going to do it or not. Every day in my team, I face this kind of issues also. I have to motivate this members also. So when the person is thinking that from body language I can guess that whether he's having fear of failure, don't face it. Well, I'm advocate. So my juniors are also, don't face it, just go to judge.
Perfect.
But there are sometimes that I have to give some kind of tips to understand. Okay, you are going to have a base of winning also.
So I'm sure that employee has performed well for you in the past. So just reminding him the good things what he has done, he or she, to bring him out of those situations. Because see, in sport, I have also gone through this. I'll tell you a very small, very unique episode. When I introduced ISM, I don't have an educational background. Neither my family is into education. My father was a banker. His first and last job was in State Bank. So there's no background of this thing. So when I introduced this institute, all of my cricketing friends started saying, "पागल हो गया तू? एक तो तुझे IPL नहीं मिली है, तूने पैसे नहीं कमाए, जितना क्रिकेट से कमाए इसमें क्यों गवा रहा है?" So you'll always find those characters. In organization also, क्यों कर रहा है यार? मत कर यार, छोड़ना यार, और किसी और को करने देना. You'll always find this. There will only 1 or 2 people who will do that. To motivate those people, you have to find what right they have done versus what wrong they're doing. Because it's very easy to criticize. अरे हे बरोबर नाही यार, तू चुकतोयस, तुला जमतच नाही रे, तुला कळतच नाही मी काय सांगतोय, अरे तुला समजतंय का? We have this habit, right? Find that one spot in which तुला आठवतंय का? या सिच्युएशन मध्ये तू हे खूप चांगलं केलं होतं, ज्याच्यामुळे आपल्याला हा रिझल्ट मिळाला आणि ज्याच्यामुळे कंपनीचा हा फायदा झाला. So one solution addresses 5 problems of individuals. But we always look at saying, हे बरोबर नाही, तुझं हे चुकतंय, तुला जमतच नाहीये. Because we develop this habit, in sport we don't have that as a choice. Because you're dropped from the team. In organization, the only difference is your annual increment gets stopped. The rest all continues. But if you want better results, you need to incentivize. You need to understand what strengths he or she have on which you have invested, and you've got better results. If you assess it right, half the problem is solved. Okay, thank you. I'm glad that no questions are there. My session was so good. You don't have questions? This is encouraging. I can pat my back with this. No, just kidding. If you don't have many questions, it makes you feel good. Doesn't put you into difficult situations. Yeah.
Hello, am I audible? So as you said, cricket is emotion for India, right? So there is always a pressure situation on all the cricket players particularly. So what strategy or what training has been imparted on the cricket players generally during your days and right now for the current cricketers?
So during my days,
we're very keen about to understand, because there is always a pressure on every cricketer.
You have to live with the pressure. Those who say I didn't have a pressure is lying. Straight. So I'll tell you a different story. When I played for India, there was only one physio. So if you get injured, the only form of treatment were two. Ice कर दे, और उस वक्त ना ब्रूफेन आती थी, पिंक कलर की, पेन किलर. I don't want to name somebody. But there were only two forms of treatments. And if you're a junior, तेरा time बाद में आएगा. Senior comes first. That was the treatment you would get. Vis-a-vis now, you have 15 people who travels with the team. So I was just, I was at Ahmedabad for India-Pakistan and the finals both. So I had a corporate session there. So I was there for both the situations. How team isolates themselves. Fortunately, because I played cricket, so I had the access to with the players and I could go and spend time also. They had completely isolated themselves. So much so that their entry exits were different. In the hotel lobby, there were more than 1,000 people waiting to see the glimpse of the players. They couldn't see anything. They had isolated themselves. And what team did to absorb that pressure, the pressure was absorbed by the senior most people by taking different roles. So Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, Rahul Dravid, all these senior players started taking more responsibility towards the juniors, not to expose them and handle and take an extra load of their pressure so that they can go on the field and give you better results. If you've seen many of the times, for the first time in this World Cup, you saw very innovative approaches where T. Dilip as a name emerged for many people. You know what he created? He created a healthy competition within the team. And what was that healthy competition? Fielding rewards दिया था. And fielding rewards socially viral भी किया. Different ways, you can always find a similar innovation into the organization. To handle those pressures, these small things becomes the icebreaker. एक दूसरे के लिए करने का. And they, if you remember KL Rahul, Ravindra Jadeja, Shreyas Iyer, when they took a brilliant catch or did a brilliant run out, they would always look like this, looking at, आज मेरा number है क्या? So there was a good competition. No, वो वाला अलग था. वो scene पारस के लिए था. पारस मामरे के लिए था. A lot of people misread it to Harbhajan and somebody else, but it was for Paras Mamre. So what I'm trying to give you as an analogy, pressure तो होता है boss. Playing for the country, you are amongst many. And anybody who says मेरे को pressure नहीं था is absolutely lying and doing nonsense stuff. Pressure तो होता ही है. just have to know how to handle the pressure. And the people who handle the pressure better have a successful career. And that's why I again relate, I was a failed cricketer because I could not live up to my expectation and could not do the justice, but I had the potential. And that's a good start to have. Start accepting failures. Because if you can't handle the pressure, the second best thing is to start accepting the failures. I hope that answers your handling pressure part. That was it? See, मी टाइमचा खूप पक्का आहे. पुण्यात आलोय, मला वेळ पाळायला पाहिजे. नाही तर उद्या सोशल मीडियावर पण फ्लडिंग असेल. निलेश कुलकर्णींनी वेळ नाही पाळली. But it was wonderful to interact with you, share my insights, my experience, whatever little I had. You probably have more experience than me, and one day I'd like to learn it from you as well. But as OHR Foundation, wonderful job what you're doing. Continue doing that, because HR job is the most difficult job, because it's a thankless job, like a wicket keeper. You'll always find one problem. You'll always get that one criticism. ये सही नहीं हुआ. So you guys are doing a wonderful job, giving the wings to your organizations, giving future to the employees. Continue doing that, because India needs people like you more. And if India is to become #1 in the world, you are the ones who will be the differentiator. So wish you all the best. Once again, thank you very much for inviting me and making me part of this wonderful evening. And evening is free. You can still book your tables and have a wonderful dinner. Thank you. I hope there are no more questions. Perfect. Acha, lady, okay. First lady to ask a question. I can't say no to that.
Thank you. I'm Dipti. Hello.
Yeah.
I'm Dipti Panarkar. I would like to know your insight whether you have used any particular psychological principles to motivate your team or to build emotional resilience.
Of course, I think you need to identify the critical leaders into each of the department. And there are different ways to handle those. And psychologically, I'll just use my company references. You know, there are a couple of employees who are leaders in my organization who are, we always say, ha rade hai. Ha sadat radaz asto. But he gives me outstanding results. Because he's really good at his work. But he'll always find a problem in others. अरे ह्याचं हे बरोबर नाही. मग बॉसला सांगणार. अमित सरांकडे येणार. अरे सर वो पता है क्या उसने ना ऐसा ऐसा किया उसका. पण स्वतःच्या कामात कधीच चूक नाही करणार. Do you think you can back that? Yes. But there are others who requires a pestering, who requires a blastering in front of people. Because they only react when you are pushed into corner, when you are asked difficult questions. And that's part of your psychology assessment. Because if you can't identify, see, there's no simple thumb rule, because psychology is the only science which does not have any definition. But if you're good at it, you will identify how he or she reacts to those situations. And if somebody is good at challenging themselves, use that to your advantage. If somebody is really good at crumbling under pressure, they probably need an arm around their shoulder to give them the confidence. Like he just asked me a question, how do you motivate those? They probably need an arm around it. And I'll use that to my reference now. I always grew up idolizing Ravi Shastri as a bowler. And in '93, when I made my Mumbai debut, Ranji Trophy debut, Ravi Shastri was a captain. But he does the first thing. I mean, obviously, 80 plus test matches, 150 one-dayers, India captain, World Cup winning player. You are, I mean, under tremendous pressure. The first thing he does is, he calls all the juniors, Amol Muzumdar, Paras Mamre, Nilesh Kulkarni, Sairaj Bhautule, to his room and asks them, boys, any drinks? And we are like, boss, तुझ्या समोर बसायची लायकी नाही, you are asking this. That's the first icebreaker. When we go for practice, the first thing he does, माझ्या खांद्यावर हात टाकला and tells me, Nilesh, I've heard some great things about you. I would love to see those. I know you're good at this. I've heard these things. He puts me right up there to my potential. He gives me that confidence. Sanjay Manjrekar as a captain after that was a different person. He would not brief me anything. He would just set a field and I have to react to that field and bowl according to what he wants me to do. He made me do things what he wanted for that situation. But the most important thing, he analyzed my strengths and weaknesses and set a field accordingly. So there are ways to analyze individuals, but more importantly, you should have more than one options available with you to find an answer which suits him or her to extract the best from them. Then only you find the right balance. Because otherwise what happens is, it's my way or highway. Many times that's the name of the game. मी असं केलंय, तुम्हाला पण असंच करायचंय. माझा हा सक्सेस फॉर्म्युला आहे, तुम्ही पण तेच फॉलो केलं पाहिजे. No, it's not required. They may have a different approach to the success formula which effectively gives you the result. So psychology is something which you can use it the way you want it, but more importantly, understanding the opposition or the opposite party's strengths and weaknesses, apply those. Gives you better results. Thank you. Last benchers. I was the last bencher. Yeah, there you go.
I just want.
Less contribution of the captain, but like I said before, my build up to that was very strong. My foundation was very strong. So that season, in the semi-final, I had almost bowled 75 overs against Madhya Pradesh in Indore. In the finals, I bowled 40 overs non-stop from end of the last day of that first ever day-night match. So luckily for me, my build-up of being patient was very solid. My foundation of wanting to be patient was very strong. So it helped me. But I think, on a different note, see, you don't anticipate these things. And what happened was, after getting a wicket on the second day evening, I just thought that we'll be able to wrap Sri Lanka out quickly. Little did I know, so Indian team and Sri Lankan team were staying on the same floor. And so we came after the match, after the day's play, and Muralidharan was in the lift, and in his typical Sri Lankan accent, he said, "Well done, macha, but good luck for next 3 days." That was a message given by Murli to me. I had no idea what he was saying. For me, it was my debut, first ball wicket, brilliant. I was on top of the world. So every session, we used to motivate ourselves. ठीक है यार, एक session हो जाता है. अगला session अपना है. And we would just go on the field. After half an hour, that will settle down. After 1 hour, अरे यार अभी तक नहीं मिला यार. So frustration would creep in. After 1.5 hour, शाह यार ये भी session अपना नहीं है. After 2 hours, you would go back. The same thing you would go again. Half an hour, you'd think, अरे अभी तो अपना मिल जाएगा यार, कुछ तो करेंगे. 2 days, exact process we followed without a luck. And on the 3rd day morning, पता नहीं सचिन को क्या हो गया था. सचिन सेड कि अरे राजेश चौहान तू डालेगा. And he kept an attacking field also again. For some reason, Sanat Jayasuriya, who was patient, defending, not being very aggressive, decided to do something stupid, and that stupidity worked in our favor. He played something like here, edged, ball tossed up, and not only 10 people on the ground, but those who were inside the dressing room, we could hear all of them, "Tata, छोड़ना नहीं catch ये," because 2 दिन हम लोग इसी के लिए रुके थे. So I mean, it is something which you can't write a script of, but you just have to find your own ways. We were trying to find it, we were not successful. And for me personally, I was trying to motivate कि एक विकेट और चाहिए. वो विकेट मुझे 3rd टेस्ट में मिली, 2nd टेस्ट में भी नहीं मिली. So that's the reason why I always say you become failed cricketer, because you could not live up to the expectations you had or the talent you had. I hope that was enough of gyan to you guys. You hear that a lot, but on the 10th anniversary of yours, you wanted one more push. But lovely audience, thank you very much, Punekar. It was wonderful. Thank you for having me here. And look forward to using sport into your day-to-day life. Thank you. I just want to conclude with one thought. First, you saw one national anthem, which said, "अपने बच्चों के पैरों को अपने देश की मिट्टी लगने दो," as a social messaging, getting people away from their active sport playing, gadget thing. And the second message in that was the passing on the baton. And I'm going to conclude with one more national anthem which we proudly produced, with all the Olympians and Para-Olympians of 2020 Tokyo Olympics. And in that, I'll just use those 4 lines, and you'll hear it as well. Our senior most actor, Shri Amitabh Bachchan, lent his voice into this. And his last 4 lines are, "जब दिलाए कोई जीत तो राष्ट्र बड़ा होता है, बचता है जब राष्ट्रगान हर कोई खड़ा होता है, तेरी वजह से बजने दे एक बार तो राष्ट्रगान, खेल रगों में बहने दे जब मन में है मैदान." These were the 4 lines of this national anthem. I hope you enjoy this, because for me, Para-Olympians, just before we play that, the Para-Olympians, I'll just share the small last bit of it. They face such adversities, but just to give you into experience of understanding these para people, you all should dig deep into their lives and their challenges. हमारे problem बहुत छोटे लगते हैं, हमारे challenges कुछ भी नहीं होते उनके सामने, and yet you see 4 of them doing PhDs, all of them doing phenomenal work. One of my very dear friend called Deepa Malik, who's the ex-para-Olympian, wheelchair bound. I'll just use her story for parting note for you. Deepa, at the age of 29, after giving birth to 2 beautiful daughters, developed a spine problem, a tumor, which made her paralyzed chest down. She has won 55 medals for India on wheelchair after being chest down paralyzed. And her beautiful story is, when we were part of a common discussion with my athlete friend, we were talking about how strength is important in your legs, what we do need to do, how we need to motivate, and what do we need to do to push hard, get extra strength. She just summed up with a slap on her face saying, "In my opinion, legs are overrated. Because you need strength from here and not in your legs. If you have the ability to think out of the box, you can achieve the impossible." So I hope you enjoy this, because she's part of this wonderful video. And please give your feedback if you get a chance to go on the YouTube. The video is issued in public interest. Please do give your feedbacks to this as well, because this is very close to us, and this is a social cause what we do, giving positive messages to the industry, motivate them through their initiatives. And these guys are the true heroes for all of us to be proud of and to be inspired from. Thank you very much. Good night.
I request all of you to please stand up.